Good morning, friends. I'm Mrs. Padmaja Tamboli. Welcomes you back in next session of C++ programming. Okay, today we are going to discuss one of the important concepts from C++, that is constructor and destructor. So, what do you mean by constructor? From the name itself, you come to know that constructor is related to construct something. Okay, in C++, we are creating one special function to initialize an object automatically. That's why this function is called as constructor. So what is constructor? Constructor is a special member function for automatic initialization of an object. Okay, whenever you are creating an object, this function gets automatically involved, to initialize a data atom related to that particular object. Now we will see how the constructor function gets created. See, whenever you want to create any function, you must have to concentrate on three different points. Already I discussed in the concept of function prototyping, that is return type or function type, next name of function, and list of parameters. Correct? But when you want to create any constructor function, you must have to keep in mind that your constructor function should not have any data type, not even void also. Okay, that means there is no any return type or data type related to your constructor function. The second important concept, that the name of constructor function must be same as that of class name. Is that clear? So see here, I will give you one example. I created one class with name student having two data variable, integer, roll number, float, percentage. Okay, now one more important point related to constructor, that is your constructor function must be declared in public section. So if you observe this program, you come to know that there is no any return type for your constructor function. The name of function is student, which is same as that of class name. Correct? And I'm not interested to pass any parameter. The list of parameter bracket is a empty one. Okay, this is about declaration of constructor function. It's very simple. Correct? Now as I'm declaring this inside a class, but I'm interested to write this constructor function outside the class. So we are following the rule how we are writing member function or any function outside the class. How you are writing function outside the class? What is the rule? The data type, as data type is upside, nothing is written. Next, class name followed by scope resolution. My class name is student, so first student word is related to class name followed by scope resolution operator, and the second student name is related to or considered as function name. As my constructor has name same as that of class, I am considering here student. So second word is function name and first student word is class name. Okay, now in this student function, I wrote two statements. Roll number is equal to 1, percentage is equal to 0.0. That means whenever I create any object of student class, the data variable roll number and percentage are get automatically initialized with values 1 and 0.0 respectively. See here, I declared one object student S. That means S is my object. So related to S object, there are two values, S dot roll number and S dot percent. But whenever I create this object or initialize this object, automatically your control goes to execution of this constructor function, and as there are and the statement related, inside this constructor function gets executed automatically, correct? Which is you, so your s dot roll number becomes 1 and s dot percentage data variable becomes 0.0. Like this, whenever you are creating any object in related to student class, automatically your student constructor gets executed, giving roll number value 1 and percentage value 0.0 related to that object. Now we will gather all the characteristics or properties of constructor together. Okay, this is again one of the important question. This question many time asked in your board examination for 3 marks. Okay, so what are the properties of your constructor function? The constructor function must be declared in a public section. The name of constructor must be same as that of class name, correct? It is declared with no return type, not void also. Then my constructor function does not consist any static data variable, correct? This function should not be a virtual one. Now this is new concept for you. I request you, please remember this. We will discuss what do you mean by virtual function in polymorphism concept. Okay, so my constructor should not be a virtual function, correct? They are invoked automatically when the object are created. Okay, the next property is related to inheritance, and we are discussing this at the time of inheritance, which is that the constructor could not be inherited through a derived class can call the base class constructor. They can have default argument, and the last property of constructor, we cannot refer their addresses. These are different properties related to your constructor function. Now we will go to different types of constructor. See, in your syllabus they are considering 3 different types of constructor. The first type of constructor is considered as parameterized constructor. Now why it is called as parameterized constructor? See, whenever we wrote a constructor function with a list of argument, that time that particular constructor is called as parameterized constructor, correct? Means constructor that can take argument are called as parameterized constructor, correct? Now see, we will consider one example. In this program I wrote student constructor by passing 2 different parameters, correct? See, in student class I declared 2 data variable, roll number and percentage, correct? I wrote one function in a public section. So which is this constructor? How you are identify this constructor? The functions written in public section is nothing, correct, and whose name is same as that of class is considered as constructor. So here see, student is my constructor. I am passing 2 different parameter. One is NO and second one is PER. So this is my parameterized constructor, correct? I am passing 2 input argument. That's why it is considered as parameterized constructor. And this is written over here same in last previous program. Okay, so whenever I am initialize any object of this constructor, what will happen? See, the roll number value gets assigned, number value gets assigned to roll number, and PR value gets assigned to percent variable of the object. See, whenever here we are declaring different object of this constructor, S2 and S1, these are the object. So whenever you are declaring this object, automatically your constructor function gets called. Now there are two different methods of calling this constructor: explicit call and implicit call. The first example, student s2 is equal to s2 into bracket 2.2 comma 75.25. that means the first data value 2 gets assigned to no value here, and this is automatically adjusted to roll number. The second is 75.25. This is automatically gets adjusted to PR variable, PR, and that PR is assigned to percentage. Okay, so that means the data values of S2 object, that means S2 dot roll number becomes 2 and S2 dot percentage becomes 75.25. Now similarly, I'm creating S1 object. Immediately I am opening a bracket and passing two parameters 1 comma 80.10. What it means? The value 1 gets assigned to NO here, and NO gets assigned to roll number. So S1 dot S1 dot roll number data variable becomes 1 and S1 dot percentage become 80.10. Is that clear? So how the parameters values you can pass at the time of creation of object and how they are gets assigned to that particular object. Correct? So this is about the parameterized constructor. Now next type of constructor is considered as default constructor. We can call it as a empty constructor also. Now see, what are default values? If you are not changing any setting and whichever automatic setting gets assigned, we are calling these are the default. In the same way, if you are not writing any constructor function in a program, still the objects are gets initialized with which value? With the garbage value present in that particular memory location. Okay, so if you are not writing any constructor in a program, still the each and every object gets initialized with garbage value, and that's why this type of constructor is called as default constructor. Okay, in the same way, if you write one constructor as an empty constructor, that means you are giving the name of function empty bracket, that means there are no any input arguments, and just you are opening the curly brace and closing the curly brace. That means the body of function is again absent. There are no any statement in the body of function. That means your function is empty one. In that case also your your object gets initialized with garbage values. That's why we can say my empty constructor and default constructor are one and the same. Okay, now next is copy constructor. So what is meant by copy constructor? From the name itself you come to know that you are going to copy, means you are going to copy the values of previously created object to newly created object. Okay, so see, that means indirectly you come to know that in copy constructor my input parameter is nothing but one of the object. See here, suppose just like in previous example, student is my class, S2 is my object. So student S2 means I am interested to create a new object with name S2, but in through bracket I am passing one parameter S1. That means my S1 is previously created object, S2 is newly created object. So what will happen? As I am passing one object S1, the value of S1 objects are automatically gets copied into S2. Is that clear? So this is about the copy constructor. Now how to write this copy constructor, or for what purpose we are using this copy constructor? See, the purpose is the initialization of an object by another object of the same class. The second purpose, return of object as the function value. And third one, passing the object as a parameter of the function. Okay, see, altogether constructor type we will discuss in this program. See, the one of the best example, and it is too simple. You can see, I declared here class number. Then NO is my private data variable of this number class. Correct? Now say 3 times I am considering number function. It is written in public. The name of all these function is same as that of class. That means all the 3 are my constructor. Is that clear? So from this you come to know that my constructor function obeys function overloading. Correct? Function overloading means what? The same name is given to number of functions written for different tasks in a program. Here I wrote 3 different number function, but they are differ in their prototyping. That means if you observe this first constructor function, number, no any parameters, empty round bracket, as well as body of function is also absent. I am just opening and closing the curly brace. What it means? It is my empty constructor. Correct? Now second statement, number integer n. That means return type is absent, name is again same as that of class, so it is a constructor, but as I am passing one argument n in this function, that's why it is considered as parameterized constructor. Okay, and the third one, number, again the name of function is same as that of class, that's why this is a constructor, and as I am passing one parameter. Now see which type of parameter I am passing. My data type of this n1 parameter is number, that means it is class name. So again recall the statement, data type of object is class name, that means my n1 becomes an object. That means in the third constructor I am passing one object. Okay, so you can identify the type of that constructor. This constructor is written for the purpose to copy the values of one object into another for newly created object. That means it is my copy constructor. Okay, so how we are writing the statement? See, in empty constructor there are no any statements, so it is a blank. But in parameterized constructor I wrote one statement, no is equal to n. That means whichever parameter I am passing, that is n, get the value of n gets assigned to no. And in this we are accessing the value of no of n1 object. How you can access? See, there is a scanning error. The actual statement is no is equal to n1 dot no. That means the no value of newly created object is equal to n1 dot no means what? You are accessing no value of n1 object. That means the no value of n1 object is automatically adjusted to no value of newly created object. That means you are copying the data variable of previously created object into newly created object. Okay, so this is about the empty constructor, parameterized constructor, and copy constructor. Now how this program executed? My next member function, in the same program is void display, and you come to know that now it is used to display no value of respective object, means which object calls this display function to that particular value of no gets displayed. Okay, now how you are declaring the function and how the constructor gets called, we will discuss. See, if you observe your main program, the first statement from your main program is number n2. That means what? You are declaring n2 object. Okay, because data type of variable, when it is class name, this becomes a object. That means you are declaring n2 object by passing one parameter. Correct? As it passes one integer parameter and it gets matched with prototype of parameterized constructor number integer n. That means whichever 10 value you are passing, this 10 value gets initialized to n variable. Correct? And now that n value gets assigned to n. Okay, so in first case your parameterized constructor gets called and it will assign 10 value to no value of n2 object. Now the second statement, you can say number n3 into bracket n2. n2 is my object. In first statement I created object n2. Correct? That means as I am passing one object, its prototype gets matched with the prototype of copy constructor. Here number and n1. That means I am passing one object. So copy constructor gets called. You are passing n2 object. That means value of n2 r gets assigned to n1. And as there is a statement no is equal to n1 dot no, the no value of newly created object, that means n3, becomes or gets copied with value of n2. That means here the no value of n2 becomes 10, as well as no value of n3 is also becomes 10. Correct? In the same way, again number n4 equal to n2 means again it calls the copy constructor in explicit way. It copies the values of no value of n2 object to no value of n4 object. Now see here, number n5, you are not passing any parameter. That's why your empty constructor gets called. Correct? And whenever you are calling an empty constructor, actually the garbage value gets copied. Correct? But in the next statement, n5 is equal to n2. That means you are trying to copy the value of n2 object into n5. Correct? That's why if you observe the output of this program, you come to know that all the no values of all created object becomes 10, 10, 10, 10. Is that clear? So this is about the empty constructor, parameterized constructor and copy constructor. Now we will discuss the last point from this explanation, or today's explanation is nothing but destructor. Okay, so what do you mean by destructor? See, again, constructor used to initialize an object or construct an object. In the same way, we can consider my destructor is a again special member function and used to destroy an object. Okay, what do you mean by destroying the object? You are making memory space free related to that particular object. That means whichever memory gets allocated to that object is now free for further application, or you can utilize it for your new application. Correct? That means whenever you want to free up memory space, you can call a destructor function. Is that clear? So A destructor is a function that again automatically gets executed when the scope of object is end. Correct? And it is used to destroy the object. So what are the characteristics or rules of writing the destructor function? The first rule for writing destructor function is a destructor function name is again same as that of class, but it is preceding with tilde sign. See here, tilde username. This is my destructor. Correct? Because why I am calling it as a destructor? My class name is username. In public section, first function is username. So it is a constructor, empty constructor. And second function tilde username. So whenever there is a function written whose name is as that of class but it preceding with tilde sign, we are calling it as a destructor function. Okay, the second rule, it is declared with no return type. Correct? Since it cannot return any value. Next, it cannot be declared as a static or constant. Next rule, it takes no argument and therefore cannot be overloaded. See, our constructor function can take argument. That's why we can consider different types of constructor also. Parameterized constructor, copy constructor, according to which type of parameter it is holding. Correct? But as there are no, and see, whenever there are difference in the parameter, you can overload that. But my destructor function doesn't take any argument. That means there is no chance to change the prototype of this destructor function. So we can say as it is not taking any argument, we cannot overload the destructor function. The last and important point, it should have a public access in the class declaration. Okay, so this is about the rules of destructor. Now we will take one example. Again, we are creating class as a student having two data types, roll number and name. Now this student, first observe these two functions, student tilde student, these two functions are written in public section. Again, the name of these functions are same as that of class name, but first function doesn't have any sign, that's why it is considered as constructor function. In second student function, it is preceded with tilde sign, that's why this is my destructor function. Okay, along with this constructor and destructor, I am considering two functions, get data and display function, for reading and displaying the information data variables of that particular object. Now here, instead of concentrating on get data and display function, I will concentrate on constructor and destructor. How this constructor and destructor gets automatically invoked in main function. See, in this main function, I created S1 object, student S1. Correct? As the variable type is class name, I can consider my S1 is nothing but object. Okay, so whenever I am initializing this object, my student constructor gets automatically invoked and it will initialize the objects. But as I am not writing any initializing statement, my object S1 gets initialized with garbage values. Okay, now I am trying to display the variables of S1 object, to which value it gets initialized, which are the garbage values related to that memory location of S1 object. Okay, now see, second object declaration is S2. Correct? Student S2. That means I am initializing this S2 object here. And S2 dot display means I am trying to display the values related to S2 object. But if you observe that I am making one separate block for S2, because you come to know that whenever I am closing this block related to S2, the scope of S2 object gets ended. So when the scope of object gets start, the scope of object gets start when you create that object. So student S2 means creation of object. Here your constructor function gets executed, and whenever I am closing the block related to S2, here I mention end of S2. That means the end of, there is a end of scope of your S2 object. Now when there is a end of scope of any object, the destructor function gets called and it will destroy that particular object. That means at this location, whichever memory I am utilizing for S2 object becomes free. Correct? Then I am ending my main function. That means you come to know that, see, S1 object, whenever I declare S1 object, the scope of S1 object gets started, but it is, the scope of S1 object is throughout the program, because it gets destroyed when my main function gets completed. Here I am note end of S1. That means whenever I am closing my main program, the scope of S1 object gets completed. Here the destructor destroys my S1 object. Are you getting how the memory gets allocated for with the help of constructor, and how the memory gets destroyed with the help of destructor function? Okay.